So I was on Facebook today and I saw this cool post that I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, I seen you just sent it to me. Hold on, let me pull it up. That's interesting. What'd you like about it?
It basically just said everything that like everybody's thinking in like 9-to-5 jobs.
Dude,
and it's funny.
I'm reading it right now. It's funny. All right, let me write it out to you. It says, I'm sitting at work. I hate every moment. I work for a boss that has a serious lack of social skills. My boss constantly talks down to me and is not doing anything to inspire me to grow. Okay, that's pretty common, right? I mean, do you see that like most of the time with bosses?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it with my boss, and he was just a complete work, I guess.
What did you dislike about him?
I mean, he was just unreasonable with everything. You know, he didn't really connect with me as a person. I just felt like I was trapped, like, in my job and, like, you know, just going day in and day out and just doing the same monotonous thing and not really getting appreciated for it.
Is this what made you think about getting into house flipping?
Yeah, I just wanted the freedom from the 9-to-5 and, you know, having to work under someone else who didn't really appreciate me for me and what I was doing at the job.
Yeah, when you quit your job, what did you do? Did you go in there and say like, hey man, sorry, it's not you, it's me. I've got this new opportunity and, you know, I'm just moving on, but it's not you, it's me. Did you have that conversation with him? Or was it kind of like you didn't do it as hardcore as you wish you could have?
Nah, it was definitely not as hardcore as I could have done it.
I feel like you just go kick him in his balls and just leave, right? Like, hey, see you, man. I'm out of here. Like, this is what you get, buddy.
So what made you get into house flipping?
It's an interesting question. Me, same thing, right? I work for a boss. I had a soul-sucking job. I didn't enjoy it. And, you know, it wasn't that my boss was awful as much as that the job I did, I just didn't really have any passion for it. And as a kid, I'd always wanted to get into flipping and doing stuff that would kind of create where I could do all my own stuff. And it was really important for me to have freedom to travel, freedom to spend time with family. And I realized, and I think at the core of me, I realized I didn't have that. You know, when you're answering to someone else and, you know, you just always feel a little bit trapped. So that was my reason I got into house flipping. Boss wasn't great because bosses usually aren't really the best. I mean, they don't, you know, a lot of times people become bosses for who knows. It's not because they're great leaders or great people. They just hadn't happened to be there long enough and someone says, all right, let's promote them up. And then now they love being like, you do this and you do that. And kind of like they get that little bit of power and they don't always really use it the way they should. You know, they don't lead and motivate people. And it's a big part of the flipping business now for me is that, you know, making sure I don't become that guy. Because now I'm a boss, right? So I got to make sure I don't become the soul sucker. Pretty important, right?
Yeah. What do you think the best part of your business is?
I would say the best part of my business is right now is that I've automated almost all my processes over the last 1,000 houses I've done to the point where my business runs without me being in it. I spend about 20 hours a week doing 60 houses a year, and I can do that from anywhere in the world. So, and the checks just keep coming in. That's the best part. Like, I literally go away 2 weeks to Costa Rica, I come home, mailbox is filled with checks. Do not try to come steal my checks though, because it's a post office box, so don't come to my house looking for checks in it and think you're gonna get rich. It's not going to happen. They're not there. Got someone picking them up before you.
Nice.
Making sure it's quick.
So you didn't always have automated systems in your business?
No, I didn't. I mean, when I first got into this, I was working my job full-time job, right? And I got into house flipping part-time. I think most people, that's how we do it because it's hard to just jump into this and try to figure it out with like no details, no clue how to do anything. So for me, what I did was I did this part-time. And as I did it part-time, I did about 2-3 flips, a couple flips, and they really went like crap. I mean, they were like hundreds of hours of doing the wrong stuff, you know, doing this, doing that, and just nothing really worked out right. I didn't know how to find the right deal. I bought crappy deals. I didn't really get the best money, obviously. I had to pay way too much for it, like really high percentage rates that made the deal harder. And then the contractors I hired made me literally want to punch myself in the face. I mean, that's how bad they were. And, you know, I just didn't know any better. So that was, it wasn't always that easy. And then there was a time it came where I had to decide after doing a couple houses, not really making any money because I was doing everything wrong. Like, was I gonna like stay with my 9-to-5 or was I gonna actually like figure this crap out, man, so I can move on and do this for real? Because I knew now I could do it, I just didn't know how to do it right.
How hard were your first few flips without the systems you had?
Yeah, they sucked. I mean, they were really hard. And I would say, just to give you like a comparison from my first couple flips to like, okay, 9 years later. So right now it takes me about 2 to 3 hours to do a flip. I literally make a couple key decisions. And because I have all the people in place and all the automated systems in place, I literally just like make these handful of like important decisions, and then I just hand it off, and then everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to do. So we're talking 2 to 3 hours a flip now to make about 30 to 40,000 bucks. My first flip, I counted the hours because I had a partner, and our deal was he would do half the hours, I'd do half the hours. So we tracked the hours. I spent like 350 hours on my first flip. It took me 4 months, and I was there all the time. So when and I think I made 16 grand on it, or like 10 grand. I don't know. It wasn't a lot, but it was not enough to quit my job, because after like spending almost a half year on it, making 10 grand, that would only be about 20 grand a year. That wouldn't be enough to quit my job. So it wasn't really good. So compare that to what I'm doing today. Yeah, one's very, not so much. The other's pretty desirable.
And was there ever a time when you thought about quitting house flipping?
Yeah, I would say the most vulnerable time for me, the time when it was most likely for me to quit house flipping, was when I was in the business and I was new. Because there was this weird time where I felt like I did know how to house flip because I had a house or two, but the profits were proving me wrong. You know, the profits weren't there. The fact that I couldn't find a new house, I couldn't find enough people with money to support new homes. I couldn't, get good contractors that could get the work done right. Well, that was a really tough time for me, and it wasn't until I ponied up and decided I was going to, I had to find someone to help me do this, or I was going to have to go back to my job.
And what stopped you from asking from this mentor in the beginning?
Okay. I mean, easy question. I mean, I would say what stops most people from asking for help from mentors, right? They get to this place where, first of all, I didn't want to pay them money because I'm cheap by nature. So I don't really like to pay people money. And I wasn't raised in a way where we pay for education. Like, people don't think that's the way to do it. I've changed my tone in the last 9 years on that, obviously, because once I seen it worked, I went on a whole rampage of constantly paying mentors and learning from so many different people. But back then, I didn't know. I'd never really spent money on education. This guy went at 15 grand, by the way. So 15 grand. I didn't have that. I was pretty broke. And eventually what changed my mind, though, was that I knew what I was doing right now wasn't working. And if I was going to keep doing the same old stuff, I was going to get the same old results. So it was a time where I was like, do I want to go back to work, or do I want to pony up some money and learn the secrets that this guy knows that he's been doing that are stopping me from getting the results? So I need those secrets.
So when you went to your first meeting with your mentor, what was that like?
So I can remember going to the meeting. This mentor wasn't the perfect mentor, but he had a lot of great stuff he taught me. And when I went to the first meeting, I came into this red building over in Hamilton area in Baltimore. And this building, we come in, it's I don't know, I don't want to talk crap about it, but it was a weird building. And then I get in there and I spend a half hour with 30 other people who are in the game. Maybe they're doing a deal, maybe they want to do their first deal. And it was really interesting to find out that they all had the exact same problems. Everyone was struggling. Where do we find good deals? Not just deals, because you can find bad deals all day, but where do you find deals that allow you to make money? Secondly, then once you do, well, where's that cash coming from? No one was rich there, so we were all kind of broke. So where's the money to do it coming from? And then the third thing was everyone's oh, contractors suck, they're unreliable, they don't get done on time, they don't get done on budget. And I'm yeah, okay, I got all the same problems. And it was kind of interesting to see that so many people had exactly the same problems I had. And it was actually a little bit refreshing, but also discouraging at the same time, because I started to wonder, is this an issue that everyone has? Is this just house flipping? Because if it is, I don't know if I was ready to do house flipping full time, because I wasn't ready to sign up for that.
So what was so interesting about this guy?
Well, who said he was interesting? I'm just messing with you now. I mean, all right, so no, at first he wasn't. He comes running out. All right, I'm going to tell you my first impression of the guy. He's complete goofball. He comes out, he's this little short dude. He comes running out full speed in his suit, and he pulls a wallet out, and flames come out the wallet, and it's this big show. And I'm holy crap, what's up with this dude? This guy is a complete lunatic. And I almost left. I literally was at the point where I was okay, this is some gimmicky crap that's not going to teach me anything. But luckily, I love punishment, and I was just I'm there now. I've already committed to being being here. And when he started really talking and getting into like what mattered, like I literally for 2 hours hung on every single word of what he was saying about house flipping, because it was literally like every problem I had, he was answering, and here's the solution. He had like all the tips. He knew exactly what to do. So it's like I did this and I went left. He's like, it's because you should have went right. And as soon as I realized going right was the best way to go, like things just started to fall into place. And in my brain, I started to say, oh, wow, there is another way. I'm making this hard. Everything that I'm having a problem with in house flipping currently is fixable. And it was very, very liberating when I had that understanding and I seen that. Because I'll tell you, when I came in, I was pretty down. I was, like I said, I was like this close to quitting. And like you said, when was my, did I ever consider quitting? This is the time when I almost considered quitting. And that was like the pivotal point in my life where I was inspired to know that, okay, I don't need to quit. I can just go find the right way to do this. And here's someone that can help me.
So you signed up with him?
No, not right away, because obviously, so no, I mean, you would think I'd just like, all right, here's the money. Well, first of all, I didn't have the money, right? Where's that coming from? I was kind of broke, so I, wasn't very good at managing my money, and I didn't have it. I did not sign right up with them because I am a very, very cheap. I had to have a soul searching kind of a big, hard talk with myself. So I spent about a week thinking about this, and I realized that, yes, this costs a lot more money than I have, and if I really wanted to be a house flipper, that this was the price I was going to have to pay. And once I understood that, and I understood that like I need to change what I'm doing because what I'm currently doing is not working. And when I realized that is when I decided to go figure it out, step up, go find the money, because like when you have a powerful dream, you have a purpose, something I'd been thinking about for many years, like you're only going to make it happen if you take a leap of faith. And yes, I ended up taking a leap of faith with this guy, and I had to max some credit cards out. I had to do some stuff that I thought was very aggressive at the time. I'd never done anything like this. And I remember the fear that I had when I did it with this work, is this guy kind of full of crap. But I was feeling really passionate about the fact that he was saying things, and I knew no matter what, I would be able to learn stuff from him, and that and this was a year I would spend with him, and I knew that like, okay, from where I am now to where I'll be a year later, even if he doesn't teach me everything, he'll probably teach me enough to make sure I'm making money. And if I make money, let's just say I do one flip and I make like $30,000, what is the 15K? Like imagine if anyone could say like invest 15,000 and make 30 in return. It's a great investment, right? Thing is, most of us, and me included at the time, did not have the confidence that I could actually do that. I didn't know. I was like, oh wow, will I be able to do this? And I think that most people fall in that too, that they're just not sure that the information, they know the information's good, but I think they're more have a fear, can I do this? Will I just not follow through with it? Then I'd done that in the past, so that was a real fear for me, that I started things and didn't finish them.
So are you grateful that you worked with this guy?
Yes, I would say that, above and beyond everything, I'm extremely grateful. And the time that I spent with him really changed my life. To date, I've done almost 1,000 houses, and I grew up poor. I grew up in a hood where most of my friends are either in jail, on drugs, or working, as a greeter at Walmart, with like a ankle bracelet on because they're on work release. So with that said, I would say that like a guy with a GED, dropped out of high school, went back and got my GED, got in trouble with the law, I have dyslexia. I'm not the smartest, person in the room usually, unless it's house flipping now. I'm pretty smart, but back in the day, I wasn't the smartest kid, didn't have like great grades in school, really didn't even like school. With that said, I don't know that it was in my destiny, right, to do something as big as I'm doing right now. And I can't imagine how I would figure out all the things that I figured out from him, being in the business 20, 30 years, and just really having that level of experience. That could have taken me forever to figure out. And if I would have done it through the school of hard knocks, I don't think I would have made it. I just don't think I would have had the ability to like suffer that much for that long to get to the answers that he just literally took me right to. Does that make sense? Because that's the way, I don't know, have you ever felt like that yourself?
Yeah, even with, everything that, we tend to do, it just seems like the smart thing to do is to find someone who's already doing it and then just learn from them and save yourself the time and the headache, going through it yourself. And I think that pretty much makes or breaks a lot of people in businesses, Mm-hmm. They don't have some kind of coach or mentor that's helping them out and guiding them along the way.
Yeah, and I think, do you feel like people are like afraid to ask for help sometimes? Is like as a man, like we're not trained to ask people for help?
Yeah, and I think even outside of that, like just people in general aren't aren't willing to ask for help because we want to do it ourselves, and we kind of just don't want to assume the responsibility of okay, I'm relying on someone else. We don't want to be vulnerable and say, I need someone else's help in this moment.
Yeah.
If we think we can do it, then, well, God, we can do it,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
sometimes that's not always the case.
And listen, I have a belief system that everyone's capable and everyone can do it. Now, I know for a fact that like if I would have spent 10 years failing and figuring things out, making mistake after mistake, and wouldn't have given up, I 100% could be in the same place. Now, maybe that would have taken an additional 10 years to do that and a lot of pain. Though, what I think I gained from the mentor was that he kind of like expedited the whole process. So instead of taking like 10 years to figure out, I was able to figure it out in 6 months. And like that's pretty powerful if you really think about it. If you think of the money I made over the years due to the fact that I didn't go through the school of hard knocks and take this really hard path. And that's just assuming I would have made it 10 years, which by the way, like I said, I doubt I would have made it 10 years because I don't know if we're really geared to like just fail that much. We do need more hand holding, and that was what he gave me. He held my hand, he helped me, he just got me through stuff. When I came and I was like, this happened, he'd be like, do this, try that, and next thing you know, we're just sitting there like we're doing stuff over and over until it worked. And then when it started working, I had that for life. I had that asset, I had that tool that I could use for the rest of my life.
So what made you decide to start working with students yourself?
So working with students myself, I mean, I've done a lot of houses over the years, and just about 2 years ago, my coach sat with me and said, Mike, like, what is your purpose? And, I told him my purpose is flipping houses. And he says, your purpose can't be flipping houses. You have to have a bigger purpose than your business. Your business is here to fund the life you want to lead. And I'm like, well, hold on. I've been so involved in my business for so long that I thought it was my life. So that was a pretty powerful moment when I realized that my business isn't my life and I need something bigger than that. Quickly though, he asked me, what charitable thing do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'm probably not going to be the soup kitchen guy. I've never been like, hey, here's $5 for the homeless dude on the corner. That's just not who I am. And I'm okay admitting that. And that's not, not what drives me, right? And when you want to find your passion, you have to know what drives you. A couple charitable things I'd done in my life that I was like really excited about is I'd helped some friends learn to house flip. And when they won, because I knew so much about this that I was able to download my exact system to them, when they started having like massive success is when I realized that like, okay, I really enjoy helping other people have financial freedom. So I asked them, would it be good to coach people? And, could I do that? And would that be a way of helping? He was like, absolutely. Like, that's a great way to help people if you enjoy doing it. So next thing you know, I started coaching people. And 2 years later, I'm now working with a lot of students, having a ton of success and feeling really great about it. And more importantly, we're getting results and I'm seeing people's lives change. And that's very powerful for me. And where I'm very different than most coaches is I still run my flipping business because I love flipping. Most coaches get into coaching because their flipping business is really painful. So they say, oh, let me teach other people what to do since I'm not that great at doing it myself. Where it's very, very important for me to stay in my business, like use these techniques. And what I would say that I gained from working with students is they help me be better at my business, which is my number one priority, is to have my business running really well so that every day as it runs really well and the techniques are working, I can teach them to my students. I'm teaching them the most relevant stuff versus like a coach who's teaching you something he did 10 years ago. I mean, I don't know if anyone's recognized the market's not the same. Just in the last couple years, if you haven't evolved, then you're probably falling behind. You're probably right now like desperately struggling to find deals. If people are seeing that, I mean, have you experienced that at all in your flipping?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, before we got linked up, I didn't even know what a deal was. I knew house flipping existed, but I thought it was some kind of myth that people kind of just made up on TV, like HGTV. And, I never thought it was a real thing until I actually saw, someone do it in person and actually see the end result.
Yeah, it's like snake oil, right? Like, hey, send me $39, I'm gonna send you this magic oil that's gonna help you flip houses. Yeah. And I know, look, people do that and they play at they're playing at our like deepest insecurities of wanting instant gratification. When a coach will be like, hey, I'm gonna give you this magic thing that'll allow you to flip houses. And my experience has been working with the students, and what I've really have loved about that, because it's helped me understand it in my own business, is that nothing's easy. It requires work, and we have to do the same things over and over until we get it so right that it's working. and it's beating our competition. And when we do that, then we have the results we want. And then next thing you know, everyone goes from like, I can't find deals to I have too many deals. A student came to me the other day who had done like 6 or 7 wholesale deals and didn't really make a lot of money, like $500 or $1,000 a deal. And she came to me and said, I have a deal. And I'm like, okay, what's the problem? And she's like, okay, I got this problem. I did this, this, and this. Well, I sold it for $145,000. I'm like, well, what'd you have it under contract? 110. I'm like, what's the problem? She's like, I'm making $35,000. Do you think that's too much? I'm like, no, you deserve that. You just sold like 7 deals and made nothing. I was actually saying, the whole time telling her you're not making enough, but I let her go because she was getting the practice. She was building her confidence. And now this is what happens when you're in the game. You go from like small deal to like this big deal. It's going to change her life. 35K is meaningful to her. I mean, it's really a life changer. And that's why I do this, by the way. To get back to that point, this is the reason I do it. Because I know what $35,000 is going to mean to her. Hey, thank you for watching this interview. My name is Michael Green, if you don't know that by now. I want to invite you to work with me personally. I have a group where I coach people and we practice proven systems over and over until they work. If you want to work with me personally, then click the link below and fill out an application and we can get started on teaching you exactly what's working today in this market. But I must let you know I'm only looking for a few good people, and when those spots are filled, the opportunity will be gone. And you must be willing to do the work if you're going to be in this group, because in this group I do it for one reason. It's to get results. And if you're in the group and you're not doing the work, you will not get the results. So know that if you fill the application out, you should be serious about house flipping and want to make more money and find more houses. So if you're interested in working with me personally one-on-one, then click the link below and let's have a meeting and we'll talk. And if it's a great fit, then we'll get you in the group and get you flipping more houses and making more money. If you've stayed this long, I know you're pretty serious, and I know that you really deep in your heart want to flip houses. The key is you just don't feel like you can, or you don't have quite have the level of confidence that you need to get started or to do more of what you're already doing well. Click the link below and fill out an application. You can work with a group of investors and people in a group where we're doing things that other investors have not figured out yet. So if you want to make your business better, you want to really take, and if you don't have a business, just get started and start making some money so you can quit your job, so you can find better deals, more money to do those deals, and better contractors, then click the link below, and I look forward to talking with you. Thank you for watching this video and staying this long, and stay awesome, my friends, and have a great day.